So, as you understood, I'm the mission officer for inter-infrastructure, let's say, relationship. So this is based essentially on the club of the infrastructure in biology and health. And I just want to show you a few things that we've done, notably this year, the evolution of this club that we created, very informal club that we created in 2017, 18, something like that. And so now it has, let's say, gained a kind of structures. And I will talk also a little bit about other inter-infrastructure activities that I'm doing as well. Okay. Okay, the first thing is that actually between this year and last year and this year, we are near the completeness of the club. That means that if you look at the roadmap at the ministry, you have a number of national infrastructure. Some of them are connected to European infrastructure, including some ERIC already, but not all of them. And if you look at the overall, I mean, they are classified by particularities like, you know, resource data, technological ones, and so on. Today, actually, during March, we have other infrastructures that have been integrated in the club. I just want to this one, the Phenome, Emphasis, Canis, and Live for Us. So all this logo don't tell you too much, but actually it's covering everything which concern national infrastructures. And the point is that now, since 2 years now, Ibiza is our permanent guest to all our, let's say, meeting. And actually, Ibiza has a mission from the institution, the national institution, like CNRS, CEA, INSERM, INRAE, for example, to help us, or I would say, to animate, but in fact, to help us for the different things that we do, and to make the connection, the link, a direct link with this national organization. Okay, so how do we operate? It's not so different from, I'm sorry for those who were already there in Nantes last year, it's not different from last year. So we have a rotating animation in Paris, so I was for a while the only one, and finally now we are quite a number of people involved. I mean, most of them are coordination people, and there are also some managers of different things. There are people from data as well, there are people from different topics that are interested in looking at this club. The goal of the club is simply to exchange, because we figure out that these infrastructures, not only at the node level, where you may have, as it was shown today by Toulouse and Alsace, that you have a consortium part of this distributed infrastructure that are part of the perimeter of the France-BioImaging nodes. But there, I mean, it's really to think about what are our similar problems? What are the possibilities that we can discuss together in terms of national infrastructure? To work less in silo, and also to look for, let's say, overall structuration, organization, in different topics. I will go back. So what we do actually, I mean, today, I mean, it's Denis Milan from France Genomic and Régine Trébocel from France-BioImaging that are animating the club. Finally, because we are too many, let's say, so we started to set up some working group, and actually we do a meeting every 2 months, plenary meetings every 2 months, and the working group are meeting in between at least once, and then they are reporting, and then what we do is to share, let's say, the latest news, and to review the work that has been carried out by the various working group since the previous meeting, and so on and so on and so on. And but more importantly, perhaps we have this discussion on global topics. And this, you know, I mean, to have the preparation of the, let's say, days of meeting between the infrastructure and the national trustee, the national organization and university. Some collaboration and some interaction with Ibiza as well, specifically. In this respect, I would like to say that Ibiza made a report, l'Infrastructure nationale en biologie santé, situation et perspective. I think it was distributed to all the national coordination. And actually, from Ibiza, I mean, it's supposed to be distributed to everybody. So I don't know if maybe we missed this point. I don't think it is on the website. It's possible to do it if it's not. Okay. So the working group. So the working group, they are just flexible organization with the arise creation of new topic. If there are new topics arriving, I mean, that are important for thinking together in terms of national infrastructures, like structuration, status, identification. You know, the bottlenecks that we may have for visibility, for identification, or what are our structuration. So we have, for the moment, I mean, it was said this morning, for example, that there will be a core, URI core, for example, but I think it was not so clear for the previous years. So things are going well. And actually, this working group are proposing things, thinking about first exchanging the problem and then proposing things. There is another working group on full cost pricing, another one on working group on communication. There is an idea to have a website which will be now supported by Ibiza, in Ibiza context. It takes time to make it because this is all of the voluntary. And for example, Caroline and Alban are part of this working group. There's it's not necessary to do exactly the same as all our websites, but it's to talk about what the club is doing. Okay, with link, of course. And a working group with relation with industry, which was very connected at some point with DGRI at the ministry. And I mean, working especially, for example, for the event which is named the Carnot Rendezvous, and working group research data that have grown a lot in importance, as you may understand, and actually that is really a working group which is now supported by the ministry itself. I will come back to that, and of course more to come because I mean, this is the idea. Okay, I don't want to go into details, but just to give you some follow-up of these three working groups. The working group full cost and pricing, for example, there are ongoing discussions with supervisory bodies. Again, pricing, costs of different national research organizations, all about the depreciation, maintenance, harmonization between sites, market consideration, and so on, the typology of customers and associated rates. The working group on structuring status and identification, well, actually the status beyond 2024, it was a very strong question this year. Actually, there are some solutions that are appearing, some discussion. I think the club, but not only the club, I mean, all the coordinators have been interviewed by Ibiza, but the club was really strongly involved in this report. The proposition pour un pilotage coordonné et un fonctionnement agile des IMBS. This is the reporting I was just saying. The ideas that are pushed in this report are really, in my opinion, are really in the way to simplify and to make, by the harmonization. I'm not sure that all the tutelle and the ONR are agreeing with that, but at least it says something about what could we mutualize in terms of the organization. What could we do in terms of making more interactive the infrastructure and so on and so on. Well, there were some other examples. Well, I mean, I just want to continue with that. Well, I just want to say something. For example, the working group research data, as I said, now is supported by the ministry by itself, Isabelle Blanc, who is the National Chief Data and Software Officer. I think it's something which is very important because it was not done before. So we have really this thing in the club. And there will be this meeting face-to-face of this working group for 2 days in February. Okay. Well, just a few, again, major cross-functional points for further studies. We actually identified the clarification for infrastructure in biology and health mission post-2024. And they are placed in the enseignement supérieur et recherche perimeters. For example, we never had something like that. They never said, you are supposed to be part of the excellence and service. It's clear, it is okay, but it's not clearly stated, okay? Are we an observatory of our own discipline? There are other group networks that are doing that as well. Are we supposed to give advice and support for public policy concerning science, research? The place of the universities. We are talking a lot with, national organizations piloting, but there are some that are piloting infrastructure, some universities. Well, anyway, this is just to say this kind of things. Funding for future projects. Again, as Edouard was saying, we have always this problem between regeneration versus innovation. I think it's true. So we need both, for sure, especially for technological infrastructure like ours. And what is the perspective? So I know that the ministry should make a survey about our needs. I think it did it, actually. I mean, at least for the organization of the infrastructure. So we don't have the output of that, if I'm not mistaken, but there is this idea to say how much we need and for what and so on and so on. Okay? It has to do something with the sustainability of our... but this is really a question that we ask together in the club of infrastructure. And then the Horizon Europe, there is a question which is coming from the infrastructure which are not part of ERIC or S3 infrastructure. Do all infrastructure have a vocation to open up to Europe, including S3 and including Pillar 1? Just can explain if you wish afterwards. If so, with what approach? How can we make eventually some national infrastructure which do not have, let's say, an equivalent at the European level, part of projects from Europe? And that comes with my last few slides about other activity infrastructures and their infrastructures. Okay, this is just a scheme. Well, I don't want to go back to that because I'm going to talk about things that have been already said and maybe after. About the project that are ongoing, in which France-BioImaging through EuroBioImaging could be involved, but not only. I mean, there are also other Infratech, for example, where we are not, but there are these kind of things. And this is a connection. So each time you have a structure which is French national infrastructure, and you have something like that. So again, InfraServe and Infratech, are there the tools that allow attracting infrastructures that are not in ERICS? That was the question. I know it's not necessarily the problem for France-BioImaging, but it is a question which is said in the club. And actually, I mean, this is just an example of what we've done in a nutshell, perspective conclusion. The first thing was to get to know each other better and setting up action. And I think the club is a good place. For example, I know, for example, that with Edouard, we have a meeting with Ingestem and ICEL France. And so that, at least that led to declaration within the framework of the France Innovation 2030 of willing to do something together in terms of imaging for this type of work, for these two other national infrastructure. There were others in that case. Okay? And then on the case of the Horizon Europe meetings in 2023, I would say somehow the FBI, ICEL, France, Ingestem, and Phenomy meeting that were really, I mean, they could have been somehow initiated differently, but I believe it was initiated because of the existence of the club. Okay, and finally, at the end, maybe it will lead to a strong collaboration between EuroBioImaging Infrafrontières and EU OpenScript. We'll talk about it afterwards. And we also have FBI Phenomorphosis, with more into plant science. ANA is something which is also a lot about ecological purpose, but which is not actually really in the biology and hears. It's more on the hears and another terminology but which is an infrastructure. And there are some discussion as well at the European imaging level with emphasis and area which are European. So I think it's not too bad to say that. And finally, this led somehow, after different discussion, to the preparation of proposals which are really going on, which are named Prestige and Greenscopy. I don't want to talk too much because there will be some parallel session on that tomorrow. So I think it's also interesting to mention. And with global bioimaging, but actually Fabrice already talked about it. Within the global bioimaging, I think what we've done in terms of inter-infrastructure initiative is to write some white paper. So there are not so many participating to the global bioimaging, and I can testify that actually it's very interesting. It's really interesting to see how people in our, imaging community in other countries, where they are, what are their needs, and so on and so on. And I think this paper is it concerns a lot of the people that are working, let's say, in core facilities or connected to core facilities. I know that some of the core facility staff in France have already discussed this paper. See this paper. Okay? I think it's an important paper because it's talking about the job that most of you are doing actually, and perspective at the international level. Personally, I think we are very, very ahead in France compared to what is discussed there, but it's interesting. And with other bioimaging communities, so it's still inter-infra activity. Sorry, as it was said, we have this joint initiative at RIC France in 2023 for bioimaging. Some projects started, I would say the return, the feedback is in between. I don't know if we will have a lot of results at the end and if everybody will be happy. For the few projects that have started, it's a diverse feeling. And this Francophone webinar, Fabrice was talking about it, that we've done the 4th of December. And I would say that at least toward the African community, which is interesting in bioimaging, it's a broad sense. It can be very users, it can be some people that are already some platform. This is connected to global bioimaging, this is connected to African bioimaging consortium, this is connected to African microscopy initiative. And we are very active, I would say, from bioimaging in this topic. With Caroline, Fabrice, Albert, and many others. We have a nice webinar, I would say, with a lot of very positive feedback. I hope it will give us some ideas for the next type of topics that we could make with them. And we will have, that's the first one, a meeting with the Centre Suisse de Recherche Scientifique in Abidjan, the 18th of December. I guess it will be all about training, but anyway. A big thanks for all those that participate and contributed and will contribute for this initiative, which is really an integral facility. Voila. And a very important point again, in this context, there is a possibility again, through Eric Bioimaging, there is the willing to build an infra-dev also into 024 proposal. It's just starting. So it's late, in my opinion. And there are some notes from Portugal, Finland, and France, and also with all these initiatives, which are African initiatives on bioimaging, essentially, not only, but essentially. And, it's just to tell you that FBI is in a growing research infrastructure environment, and that we make the most possible things to do it. Thank you very much.